Hello and good evening to all, and welcome to our next panel discussion. The topic for today, learning in the 21st century. And I'm sure that you are going to get a lot of valuable inputs as we have principals, vice principals, and educators across the country who have joined us today in sharing their vast experiences. I'm glad that we could collect so many of them together for this program for you so that we are enriched by their experience and their expertise. So once again, I want to welcome all the panelists on behalf of the All India Educators Forum and all you dear participants who have joined us from not only from different parts of India, from across the world. So on that note, we have going to introduce our moderator for the day, that is Sumedha Sodhi ma'am, who is the HOD of Social Science in Elkan Public School, International School in Delhi. And she is a resource person with the All India Educators Forum, and she is a Teach SDG ambassador, SDG Chopal ambassador, climate project educator, goals project educator, edtech coach, and so on. She is a multifaceted personality, and I'm glad that she is moderating the session for today. And I'm sure that she will be able to carry on this program in a very enriching way so that each panelist and you, dear audience, is involved in this whole program. So learning in the 21st century is something very unique. We have come a long way from the Gurukul system where the Guru was the boss of the classroom. He had a pedestal and everything what he said was the most important thing. Right now it is learning anytime, anywhere, and the students have got a variety of sources from which they can gather knowledge. So as we move ahead, I'm sure there will be a lot of inputs coming from them. I'm very much eager to listen to each one of you, and I'm sure our audience are also eagerly waiting for this program. So without much ado, I'm going to hand over the proceedings of the day to Ma'am Sumedha, who is going to introduce the program and the panelists. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a warm welcome. I'm delighted and I'm thankful to you for giving this opportunity to me to moderate today's panel discussion. Good evening, all the EduRite leaders. I would like to express my heartiest gratitude to our organizer, the founder and director of All India Educators Forum, very humble and kind person, Mr. Matthew K. Thomas. Worthy presenters who are going to present their ideas today, learned audience, and on behalf of this organization, All India Educators Forum, I welcome all of you to this August evening full of new and innovative experiences. Today, we all have gathered here for sharing our thoughts and ideas on a theme which is highly significant in today's world, that is, learning in the 21st century. So, when this term comes to our mind, 21st century skills, we generally think, what does it mean? So, I would like to throw some light on it before we begin with the panel discussion for today. 21st century skill is generally used to refer to those core competencies such as collaboration, digital literacy, critical thinking, problem solving that leaders today believe schools need to teach to help students thrive in today's complex world. In a broader sense, the idea of what learning in the 21st century should look like is open to interpretation and controversies. So, to get a sense of how views on this subject align and differ, we have invited a range of educational experts to define 21st century learning skills from their own perspectives in today's session. So, we are going to begin with the panel discussion, and the first speaker for the day is Ms. Kaushal Singh. I would like to extend my warm welcome to Ms. Kaushal Singh, the principal of Learning STEM International School, Piparia, Madhya Pradesh, state president of PAAI Madhya Pradesh. She is also the founder and general secretary of NEWF. She is a T4 ambassador and also
आप
the
लोग ये
brand
काम
ambassador
करोगे मेरे साथ?
of Vivekanand Foundation of Education. We welcome you, ma'am, to this panel discussion and we are eagerly waiting to listen to your thoughts. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sumedha ma'am, for this warm welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Matthew sir, for arranging this panel discussion. And I'm really delighted and really happy to be the part of this panel discussion today. As we are talking about 21st century skills, and yes, of course, about the productivity of those skills, that how they are going to be in the classroom, how we are going to present them in the classroom. Like we all are edulite leaders, as you said just now. So, being a leader or being an educationist, how we are going to see that how these skills are inculcated in our lesson plans and in our teachings, that our students should be more innovative and they would be more productive. As today, if I say, and if I talk about 21st century skills during pandemic, and before pandemic, if I think that we, and if I talk about myself, I was also not so competent about so many things, and I was not having confidence to be on a live screen and going for so many other things. But I learned gradually with time. And yes, I think that there are many other people also, those who are more far better than me in these skills. If we have these four C's in our hand, like you said, critical thinking. Yeah, it's a must and it's an important thing. Until and unless we don't have the capacity or we don't have the mentality of critical thinking, problem solving, we are not going to produce the proper result. We are not going to tackle the problems that are going to occur in front of us. We should be little bit innovative with our ideas. That's why the creativity is also included in this these four C's of these 21st century learning skills, where communication and collaboration is also required. When we are talking about this communication and collaboration, how we are communicating our perspectives, our thoughts, and how we are taking those things in us as well, how we are collaborating with the main learnings, how these things are going to happen, and how these are going to improvise our children. Obviously, when a problem solving task is given to a child, if I say, then at that time a child is able to analyze properly the problem and they used to answer it properly. Of course, at the same time, the child has a proper communication regarding that, and we all have a proper. Uh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just uh, with that a proper circulation of thought, that is somewhere that is needed. Proper circulation of by that proper circulation of thoughts, I mean that when we are using these IMT literacy skills in our technical skills today, when we are learning in these 21st century skills, these IMT skills like information, media, and technology, they are connected with these learning skills. If we have a proper information regarding anything, so we have a proper capacity of solving any kind of problem. But for that, we require proper platform, proper media. But whatever the things that are served on media, are they authentic? Are they reliable? Or are we able to trust them easily? Is it in that way we have to take whatever has been served to us? Suppose if I say, I if I talk about ourselves, if I say that somebody wanted to have a job, and many people, those who are searching for jobs, there are many predators, those who are moving around, they call you and they just want to know about that, whether you can pay for that or not. But what is the authentic source for that job that has been given to us? Whether it is authentic, the call that has been placed to us, whether it for us, or the source that is given to us, is it trustworthy or not? It is up to us that how we are going to rectify. Until and unless we don't have the proper information, we don't have the proper knowledge of that information, we cannot have observing and critical thinking type of a skill, where we are connecting with literacy skills and we are connecting with the learning skills together. Here, the proper communication is required when we are open on medium. And with this communication, how we are going to perform? We need to have a proper communication with our peers. We need to have the proper communication with those people, those who are reliable to us. On Google, like Google is an authentic source for us nowadays, where we can see that creativity, collaboration, and all these things that are must, and where uh, Google is going to help us to sort out so many our problems. As I'm saying about technology as well, until and unless we are not having that technical equipment, we should be providing that kind of a proper knowledge to our students of softwares and hardwares in the class, that they will be having a proper understanding about networking, and they will be able to adapt such kind of things according to the circumstances, and it would be producing a proper kind of a weightage for them as well. So by that, I end my point over here, Sumida ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very, very insightful discussion and thoughts that you have just shared with all of us. And I hope all our listeners are getting a lot of motivation and inspiration, because the points that you have brought to today's forum, that embracing a 21st century learning model requires consideration of those elements that could comprise such a shift, like you have talked about, creating learners who take intellectual risk, foster learning dispositions, and nurturing school communities where everyone is a learner. So we all have to be in the same boat. Then only we will be able to imbibe these skills amongst our millennials, I can say. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, we have amongst us Miss Pallavi Shekhar Wakhande. She's a PRT teacher teaching mathematics at Sandipani School, Nagpur from last 19 years. She is the director of P3 Academy and president of an NGO, Palhar, and with this quote in my mind, that no longer does learning have to be one size fits for all or confined to the classroom. The opportunities afforded by technology should be used to reimagine 21st century education. I would like to invite ma'am to pour some light on the topic for the day, that is learning in the 21st century. Over to you, Pallavi ma'am. Pallavi ma'am, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Sumita ma'am. Good evening to all the panelists and all the participants on the screen and the social media platform. Thank you so much for inviting me here to listen to all of you and share my views and opinions on learning in 21st century. I remember my schooling where teacher used to write on the blackboard and we copied down, and the mugging up where the concept clearing didn't matter at most. The only thing we should learn and get A plus grades. Everything from question answer or tables, it must be learned. But now, in this 21st century, learning can be defined as student centered learning. Instruction should be student centered. The day of lecturing teachers has passed, though not entirely, but some way extinct. Education should be collaborative. Students must learn how to collaborate with others. Learning should have context. Schools should be integrated with society. I believe that proponents of 21st century learning often refers to the need to shift away from 3 hours that is reading, writing, and arithmetic. Uh, the three R's, which emphasize repetition, memorization, and recall. Now, it has changed to developing of skills in for these four C's: creativity, creative thinking, collaboration, and communication. Uh, the four C's focused on strengthening students' ability to evaluate information and to focus that information with imagination and ingenuity to create something innovative. Our mind is crammed with facts before it know how to think. This education of 21st century must teach children to learn how to learn more than that what to learn. Instead of what to learn, we have to teach children how to learn these things, because we have to add these four C's in our profession, or in our teaching. Now we know that our education system are hard to change, because continuous practices of former education, the disciplinary and pedagogical expertises of teachers that provides effective according to the generation and time needs now to be changed as per future necessity. Now, educator must be able to look at the problem from multiple perspective, including those that others may not see. For this reason, pre-service and in-service teachers are expected to be able to create learning with high-order thinking skills. Thinking in a creative and a critical manner approaches children for a wide perspective in their career paths, and also empowers them to lead a happier life and leave a legacy for the next generations. The 21st century requires taking the lead instead of trailing behind, actively seeking out a new way of doing things and staying in touch with the world outside of the education system. That can be done only by modernizing and digitalizing in this growing world. Now, without going deeper into the topic creativity and critical thinking, it can be defined in some short and simple words that creativity is about coming up with innovative solutions to problems, whereas critical thinking supports analyzing information and critiquing claims. There are other skills that are very important, which falls within these four areas. Entrepreneurship can be considered a skill in of its own. Inquiry and problem solving are keys for a new rays of thinking. Also, emotional intelligence is the most important aspect for dedicated work and relations. Uh, the bottom line, education needs to be all about empowering students with transferable skill that will hold up to a rapidly changing world, not a prescribed content that has chosen for its past relevance. Or a 21st century education is about giving students the skill they need to succeed in this new world, and helping them grow the confidence to practice those skills. With so much information readily available to them on Google, as just now that teacher said, uh, it is available in Google. Everything is available. Students are used to with that. And 21st century skill focused more on making sense of that information, sharing and using it in a smart way. These four themes are not to be understood as units or even subjects, but as a theme that should be overlaid across all curriculum mapping and strategic planning. They should be a part of every lesson in the same way as literacy and numeracy. and also 21st century. Now it is our responsibility, is the teacher of it is the responsibility of all the teachers. So what the teachers need to serve as a guide or mentor for their students, not as the all knowing stage providing them with all their information. With so much access to resource of all kinds, children are invariably going to know more than teachers or a different topic, and be a step ahead of the technology and in use. Teachers need to be empowered as a facilitator and a motivator for learning, so that they can empower their students in turn. This shift is great news for teachers. Instead of struggling to give kids all the information they need to succeed in the area of the teacher knows little about, they can support students as they make their own steps into different fields. It's about preparing kids to go beyond their parents and teachers, making sure they have the skills to do it, and then helping along the way as they build confidence to achieve. This means teachers need to be forward thinking, curious, and flexible. So now it is a time teachers should upgrade themselves also. Teacher must be a learner, learning new ways of teaching and learning alongside their students. Simply asking question like, what will my student need 20 or 50 years from now? How can I give them, how can I help give them those skills can change our mindset, make you a leader and help you bring about change in our classroom, school, and community. Also the ability of think critically and creatively, to collaborate with others and to communicate clearly, set students up for success in their career, but also empowers them to lead happier and healthier lives. Lastly, it's a challenge for both teachers and students, as both are learning now new ways to learn. Teachers are learning how to teach that involve all the four C's, and students are learning how to learn. So this teacher learning process has taught us to change ourselves to modernizing words. Uh, by saying this, it's a challenge, and we all are ready to accept this challenge, and will definitely give our 100% and make this our generation uh, empower to as an empowerment, or empower and lead them. And by saying this, I'll stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pallavi ma'am. You have rightly mentioned that how 21st century skills learning, they build upon our conceptions of learning as core knowledge in the area, and recast them for today's world, where a global perspective and collaborative skills are very critical, as you have rightly mentioned. And it's no longer enough to just know things. It's even more important to stay curious about finding out things and why of those things. So very aptly you have mentioned all the points. Thank you so much for such an enlightening discussion. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker for the day, Miss Pooja Sharma, who is working as PGT English, and she is the head of the Department of English in a CBSE school. She is also Masters in Education and Masters in English also. She has more than 15 years of experience as a teacher, and she has also worked as a college lecturer teaching the Bachelor's of Education college students. So we are really delighted to have Pooja Sharma ma'am amongst us to share her views on 21st century learning skills. Over to you, Pooja ma'am. Pooja ma'am, you are on mute. Kindly unmute yourself.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So, a very pleasant evening to all panelists and viewers. As you all know, I'm Pooja Sharma in front of you. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Matthew sir for giving such a wonderful platform to us. So today's topic is learning in 21st century. Well, I would like to focus on or emphasize on the topic, what is learning actually? Well, learning is the process of acquiring new understanding, knowledge, behavior, skills, values, and preferences. The ability to learn is possessed by the humans and animals. According to Benjamin Franklin, tell me, and I forget. Teach me, I may remember. Involve me, and I learn. So, for learning process, the most important factor is involvement. Now, question arises, what is involvement? The involvement or whose involvement is required? So, for the involvement, two poles are there. One is teacher and second is students, of course. So, teacher and students are the two poles of teaching learning process. There are three components of teaching learning process according to me. First is content, second is called presentation, and third is called result. We can call it output also. Well, as my dear another teachers has explained that earlier education was so teacher centered. So content is already there in books. Yes, of course, it is there in books. But now it is also there on social media. So content is already there. Then second part is very most important. That is presentation. Yes, presentation is always in the hand of the teacher. So how much effective the presentation is, the result or the output will be as effective. Presentation, from last 2 years, we just found out so many ways to present the content. Earlier, there was a traditional method of teaching. That was teacher went inside the classroom. There was the classroom condition only. Teacher went inside the classroom. He had a book on his hand, and then he started giving explanation of that content on his own way or according to his own way. But now, when there was the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we faced so much challenges. We found the solutions for that, and we just switched to Zoom app or Microsoft Teams also. We learned so much. We learned how to use technology. So technology allows for 24/7 access to information, right? So we are for 24 hours available for our students. I remember that day when at 7 p.m. my students called me to ask their problems. So that time I remembered. So I just laughed on that time. They go, look what time we faced. So use of technology was a great task for teachers before 2 years. But now a systematic use of technology is in the hand of the educator, is in the hand of a teacher. And it is very common in today's time. You all must be agree with me. Well, from last time or from past to present time, some traits and skills are required for educators. Some educators are calling it for C's it is. But according to me, these skills are very most important. And apart from this, there are other skills also that are very most important for teachers. First is called collaboration. Collaboration is working in a group or taking a challenge, taking a leadership, as Sumedha ma'am has taken here, the responsibility of introducing the panelists. So this is taking a responsibility. This is called collaboration. Next point is communication. Communication is talking to others. Presentation. Communication is called presentation also. Next is critical thinking. Critical thinking is called finding solutions of the problems. Every person, every teacher has its own way of finding the solution of a problem. And this is important for the students also, I feel. Because They have different ways of finding the solutions of their problems, but ultimately the result or the output will be the same. There can be different ways for people, but the solution or the answer will be the same. The core idea will be the same, we can say. Next point is creativity. Creativity is thinking out of the point or out of the range. Next other points that accordingly can be self-regulation. Self-regulation is can be called self-involvement also. But above it, I feel activity engaged or in maximum areas is required. Means to say, involvement of the teacher is very most important in every part of the time. In every teaching learning process, when there is a teaching learning process, we talk about involvement of the teacher is required. So to sum up, I can say that these three components are very most important. That is content, presentation, and result. I would like to focus on the point again. As much the presentation is impressive, definitely the result will be as impressive or as good. Result is called output or the behavior change. For teachers, above traits are very helpful or very most important. Well, these skills are interconnected also. Interconnected for the collaboration, of course. Communication is important. So these all traits or these all skills are interconnected. Well, at the end, I would like to say thank you for listening me, everyone. I hope I was able to explain this point, this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pooja ma'am. You have rightly mentioned that with the onset of 21st century, the entire world has witnessed an era of intense transformation, whether it was in the field of education, whether it was in the field of economy, technology, society, trade, and COVID-19 pandemic example like you have given us, which has thrown up challenges for individuals to cope up with
Yes.
its impact. So, naturally, for such times, a different skill set was required that enabled all of us to cope up and succeed in facing the challenges of real life, leading to our own holistic progress. And these skills we are talking about today, which are addressed as 21st century skills, or they are also called the transversal competencies that we all are discussing today. So next on the panel, we have Miss Priya Handa. I would like to invite ma'am. She is the Vice Principal of Bosco Public School. She is also a YouTuber and she has created a YouTube channel, Yearn to Learn. She is bestowed with prestigious awards like Dr. S. Radhakrishnan National Award and Savitri Bhai Phule Award. She has experience of more than 17 years into teaching and still a learner by heart today. Strongly, she believes that we should not just grow through life, but we should grow through life. So, with this thought in mind, I would like to invite Miss Priya ma'am for the discussion on 21st century skills. Over to you, Priya ma'am.
Thank you so much, Miss Sumedha. That was indeed decorated introduction. And my greetings to everyone, the panelists, and the watchers out there. I would like to say thank you so much to K. Thomas for organizing this session, which is a learning experience for each one of us. We are the panelists, we are learning from each other. And for the viewers, whether you're a student, parent, an educationist, a teacher, it's a learning experience for you as well. So, coming to the topic of the day, learning in 21st century skills. Learning in 21st century and 21st century skills. Breaking the term. So, when we are talking about 21st century skills, let's break it. So, we are talking about skills and 21st century. What is a skill? Skill is an ability or a capability expertise that we acquire. What is learning? Learning means acquiring of knowledge through those skills. And what is 21st century? Now, my friends, we are covering the period till 31st of December 2100. Such big timeline. So honestly, I feel it's very difficult to talk about skills over the century, and the example is right here in front of us, which my dear colleagues have just shared also, like COVID pandemic. So in 2019 we were not ready with online education, but right on 25th March, when lockdown was announced in 2020, so we all set off in this journey, and so quickly, I must congratulate all the educators. So quickly, everyone, just donned the cap, learned the digital technology, and shifted the whole offline system into online. So this is the skills we are talking about. And I feel the situational leadership is the key term I would use, which is required in this time. So if I come to the particular skills and the theories about it, my dear friends have already shared, so I'll not elaborate on it. But I'll quickly brief that there are three L's that we know. One is learning, second is create a learning skills, the second L is of literacy. Now, literacy is not just of reading and writing, but literacy is digital literacy, the technology that we are talking about. And third, most important L, which is my favorite, is life skills. So we shall focus on life skills. Shall come on that with you, that would highlight all the skills we are talking about. So let's guess what this story is about. I can see people are there, and they are writing comments. So there is this story of a rabbit and a tortoise. Can anyone think about its moral? What was it about, and what moral we learn from it? Can anyone think about it? Moral of the story. Rabbit and tortoise. Okay, let me see. Okay, someone is putting here. Anyhow, so the moral of the story is slow and steady wins the race. We all have heard about it. I'll just quickly brief it in one line. There was a rabbit and a tortoise. They both had a race. Tortoise was andar thoda tortoise took benefit of it and won the race. So turtle won, and we learned the moral: slow and steady wins the race. But when we are talking about situational leadership, this doesn't fit. Today, we talk about fast and consistent. Took it on his ego. ऐसा कैसे हो गया? मैं इतना फास्ट भागता हूं, मैं रेस कैसे हार गया? So further it happened that he went to tortoise and said, let's have this race once again. I'm not convinced with this race. So tortoise agreed, ठीक है, दोबारा से करते हैं रेस, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? And they started off with the race once again, and and won the race. So the second time, rabbit and tortoise lose it, and that's how I said moral of the story is fast and consistent wins the race. But story doesn't end here, my friends. Now tortoise was feeling bad. Oh my god, I won for the first time. How could I lose it? So tortoise went to rabbit this time and said, now we are friends. Let's have this race once again. Tortoise was choose the track of the race. Rabbit said, okay, fine, my friend, you choose the track. Now here we are talking about thinking about your skills and your competencies. Tortoise choose a track that had land and river both on it. And when they started off with the race, Rabbit ran faster and just near the destination, so he had to wait. And slowly, Tortoise came there and swam through, won the race. So this time, Tortoise won the race. And moral of the story is think about your skills, your competencies, and then plan your game accordingly. If I'm not good at speaking and I am speaking, then I am not doing with justice with my competencies. But the last part of the story still remains. As I shared, rabbit and tortoise both became friends. So what they did was they said, let's run for the last time once more, but as a team this time. So when the track came, the part that was there, which was on land, rabbit carried the turtle on its back and then ran. And when they reached the river, the turtle carried rabbit on its back and then they crossed the river. So this is how, teamwork made them both the winners. But here is also one learning that I was talking about, that if I have something good in me and my friend has something good in him or her, and we both are good at our skills, we must combine them. We must synergize for a better result. So the story ends here. I don't know over time if we get more versions of this story, but you see how this rabbit and turtle story has evolved. And this is what we are talking about 21st century skills that we need to evolve by each passing day. We have to be learners at heart. So that's how I see myself. I am a learner. I have learned a lot from the speakers who have spoken, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot from those who are going to speak for today. So friends, what I say about 21st century skills is that focus on your flexibility. Forget about the trigonometry formula. More focus on your good emotional, mental, physical health. And as far as our school is concerned, I would take the example of a pizza. We all like pizza with a lot of toppings. So our school is like that pizza base, right? And when we enter university, the course we choose, the choices we make, they are like toppings, different toppings. Now yourself imagine if that base is not strong enough to hold with this. That if we have educators on board, and Matthew sir has taken a great initiative, all those who are watching, and please convey to your friends to follow Matthew sir and like this channel of his. And if you are looking for teaching activities, welcome at Yearn to Learn, my channel at heart. And once again, I extend thanks to my panelists, Miss Sumedha and Mr. Matthews. Thank you both.
Thank you so much, Priya ma'am. With a simple story of a rabbit and tortoise, you have explained our audience that 21st century skills enable an individual to face the challenges of the world that is globally active, digitally transforming, collaboratively moving forward, creatively progressing, seeking competent human resource, and quick in adopting changes. So, your storytelling method was really helpful in understanding 21st century skills in a better way. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, next speaker for the day is Miss Rashmi Chaudhary. She is TGT Science teaching at Holy Innocents Public School, Delhi, and she has around 20 years of teaching experience. She is a very hardworking, sincere, and dedicated teacher, and she says that teaching is her passion. So, I would like to invite Rashmi ma'am to throw some light on the topic learning in the 21st century. Over to you, Rashmi ma'am. Rashmi ma'am, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself, Rashmi ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. A very
Yes,
good
ma'am.
evening to all the learned panelists and respected Matthew sir, who has provided this platform for us educators where we can share our experience and learn from the vast experience and expertise of all other educators. I've learned so many things from the panelists present over here. I'm Rashmi Chaudhary and I have 20 years of teaching experience. I started my teaching career in the year 1998 from my alma mater, Air Force School, Agra. I believe God has sent each individual with a special purpose, and we are the fortunate ones because we have been chosen to spread knowledge and wisdom to all the children who will be the responsible citizens of tomorrow. I have seen different stages of education in my life and experienced the transition when my teachers used to teach me and in the today's model of teaching. Earlier, teachers used to make us understand the topic by the help of lectures, by providing us notes, by using the chalk and duster as a teaching tool. Even I have used these tools in my earlier days of teaching. But with the development of technology, learning in the 21st century is now more of interactive and experiential. National Education Policy 2020 also focuses on learning by doing. My subject is science, so I relate with the theory with the practical, that is, the activity based learning. This makes the subject content more interesting and enriching for my students. I would just like to quote some of the examples. Like in Physics 10 standard, there is a chapter of light. Now, CBSE has prescribed some of the experiments for 10 standard, which are mandatory for us to perform in the lab. But there are some NCRT activities which, if the students perform, they understand the basic concept. For example, I tell my students to do the activity with a simple spoon to understand the basic difference between a concave mirror and a convex mirror. The inward portion of the spoon, it has a property of a concave mirror, and the outward portion, it behaves like a convex mirror. So when the students they perform this activity by themselves, when they see the different images in the spoon, they feel so happy, and they are able to differentiate between the concave and the convex mirror. So also there are many other activities. One of the activity related to refraction of light. I tell my students that put a coin in a glass full of tumbler, and when they see the apparent position of the coin, they put a this thing pencil or a scale in a glass of water, and then they see the bent portion on the interface. So they understand the basic concept of reflection and refraction, and the chapter it starts on a positive note. In electricity chapter, although there are certain experiments again given by the CBSE, but I tell my student I want that my student should understand the basic of the what is a simple series circuit, a parallel circuit. So I tell them to make a circuit by themselves. This activity is not given in the NCRT book, not even in the practicals which have been given. So when they make the circuit by themselves using a simple battery, the bulb, the switches, the connecting wires, and when they solder the connecting wires, the joints, they are so happy. The understanding which I can see on their face, it gives a feeling of so much contentment and satisfaction to me. And then the students who are even lacking interest in the subject like physics, they develop that interest, and then I'm able to proceed from the simple topic to the complex one. Even during the online classes, my students, in spite of sitting at home, they perform these activities, and then They were sending me videos, PowerPoint presentation, images, and they were able to understand the topic well. So the need for the art for the 21st century is learning by doing, the activity based learning. This method is very, very effective. Friends, during the 2 years of pandemic, although all of us face certain problems, but we devised new methods, new techniques to make our teaching more effective, like using more of the audio visual aids, making of PowerPoint presentation. All of you must have made PowerPoint present slides for your students. Even I made many PowerPoint presentation for each chapter. Then using of the videos, although students know that all these things are available on the online platform, but we as an educator, we have to guide them. We should there should be a role of it should be the role of a facilitator. We have to tell them that yes, these videos are there on the online and you can go through them. So with the during the online classes, when we use the YouTube's video, I use the online virtual labs, the O labs, the simulations which are present on the online. Now these are very, very effective, and still I am continuing them in my offline classes, and I find that these are very effective when I'm using them for my physical classes also. So the methods which we learned, the techniques which we learned in the pandemic year can be continued for the learning in the 21st century also. We use interactive quizzes, Google Forms for test, and then the different worksheets. And again, we can still continue with them. Friends, apart from the subject based learning, I feel a teacher is the first parent of a child in the school. It is the moral duty and the responsibility of a teacher to connect with each and every child of the class. The, the skill of making a bond with the student will always be effective, irrespective of time, whether it's learning in the 21st century or any century. When I start my class, the first statement which I speak in the class, tell to my student is that I want each one of my 40 students, whether whatever is the strength, they have the potential and they can understand the topic which I'm going to start. And when I show the confidence in each one of my, there are students who will work by themselves, but as an educator, it is my role, my duty, my responsibility that the students who are lacking interest in the studies, they need to be pushed up. And then I find that even those students, they start taking interest in the class, they become attentive, and then my class, it becomes very interactive, and the class goes on a positive note. There are students with different learning styles, different pace, but each child is capable not only of learning but also of succeeding. In all these years of teaching, I found there were students who were lacking interest. Now, it was because of some of the family issues. They can be emotional, financial, or any other issue. So, as an educator, we need to motivate these students, listen to them, connect to them, develop confidence in them. I tell them that if they work hard, then they can be highly successful, they can overcome the obstacles in life. I'll just quote some of the examples. One of my students who was totally diverted, had some financial issues, was not in good books of the staff, of the students, and lacked confidence. Now, with the support, guidance, and love, today I am very happy and proud to say that today that student of mine is an officer in army. The student who was considered below average now leads a highly successful life. Just few days back, I received a video from one of another student of mine. He had purchased a house. Now this child was also he was he lacked interest in studies, but with the guidance today, now he is an executive in bank. Just one more example. I know many of you must be having these experiences during the teaching period, and this is the actual reward which we get as an educator. There was a girl in 10th standard, and when I used to take the class, she used to sit very quietly, not talking with the classmates, scoring marks 0, 1, 2, that is below average marks. So I called her one day and asked her, what is the problem? She said, मैम सब बोलते हैं कि मैं कभी पास नहीं हो सकती, मैं हमेशा फेल होती हूँ. You know, these words touched me. It touched my heart. I told her, I just gave her, I encouraged her, motivated her, built that bond with her. And I'm very happy that she could clear the board exam in the very first attempt. And now, the girl who lacked confidence, today she is pursuing graduation. So, dear friends, this is the skill, that is the, like ma'am said, the 3L, the life skills which we as educators need to instill in our students. That is the learning for the 21st century. I would just like to share just one more methodology which I have been using for my students from last many years, and which I found very effective and motivated and inspired my students. You know, see, I make, if this is visible, I make bookmarks like this. And I have been making these bookmarks for each one of my students. I write some or the other words of motivation, encouragement for my children. Like in this, I have written, work hard in silence and let success make the noise. So, when I give these bookmarks to my student along with the admit card with which they are going to appear for the board exam, the students who did not perform well during the pre-board exam, after in the board exam, their performance, it improves and they achieve excellent in the exam. Their confidence is built up. So this is a teacher. Friends, a teacher can transform the life of a student and enlighten and empower their path with support, love, and guidance. A student's life is like climbing a ladder. At each step, there is a mentor, a guide, a teacher who supports and helps the student to reach the final destination. So, with these words, I would like to conclude and would like to thank Matthew, sir, who has organized this panel discussion. And I've learned so much from all the panelists, and uh, would again like to thank sir for his this work, the platform which he has formed for us educators. Thank you so much, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Rashmi ma'am. You rightly summed up that 21st century skills are essentially the outcomes of experiential learning that you are giving to your students, and they are imbibing all the knowledge through observation, understanding, practicing, and experiencing themselves. And that is really good to know what all extra mile efforts you are taking for your students. Really glad to know about your innovative ideas. Thank you so much, Rashmi ma'am. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker for the day, Ms. Sangeeta Rani, who is PGT Chemistry teaching and the SS Khalsa Senior Secondary School, Delhi. She has around 20 years of teaching experience, and teaching and motivating students is her passion that she always talks about. And today, with all her passion, she is going to share her insightful thoughts on what 21st century learning skills composed of. Over to you, Sangeeta ma'am.
Yeah, good evening to all panelists and good evening to Matthew sir. And thanks Matthew sir for giving this platform AIEF and thank you very much. Just I want to start with a beautiful slogan. If we teach students as we are teaching today, as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. Education has undergone the revolutionary changes in the recent time with the introduction of technology and the modern methodologies. Educators are better equipped to focus on the capacity building while making learning a fun-filled experience. All my fellow teachers here would agree that children are not same. Eight before this century, we were largely following the one size fit all technique. However, children grow and develop at the different pace. All children have different strengths and weaknesses. Some are good at sports, others music. Some are very academic, but others not. Some are highly anxious and others are more relaxed. It becomes our duty as a teacher to understand closely the strength and weakness of each of them, build on their strength and work on their weakness. Understanding their pace of learning and teaching accordingly could make a lots of difference. The moment we are able to understand the like and dislike of the students and start communicating them in a way they prefer, students start trusting us and half the battle we won. This is when the students start collaborating with the teachers and become an active participant in the process of learning. They want to question, sometimes argue, and in a sense of ability to reasoning of the children enhance the process. The productivity of the teachers and the students increase many-fold and the capacity building is much easier. Play could be the key of learning. One of the lessons that we have learned in the field of education in 21st century is that play is far more powerful for the children. Means a gamification. Researchers and educators across the world, the we found that the play can help enrich learning and develop the key skills such as inquiry, expression, experimentation, and teamwork. Fun based learning gives a child a choice about what he or she wants to do. Learning in this kind of system evolve spontaneously rather than giving kids a script to follow and is given by the motivation about what the child wants to do. In meaningful play, children are active participants. Additionally, it has been established that play pull together logical and creative part of the brain. Through the play-based learning, children and teachers can create an educational experience which is fun-filled. Students learn critical thinking skill, develop their language abilities, expand their range of knowledge, and increase their social emotional awareness, all without realizing how much they are learning. While we are discussing the benefit of the play-based learning, we also need to understand that while the teachers in the elementary classes have a variety of options for this, the teachers in a higher section have limited tool for this. While I mainly teach the higher classes, I try to introduce tools and methodologies to enable students to understand the diverse concept of the chemistry and accessible and easy manner. We try to adopt the value of fun-filled practical exercises, applicative uses, and sometimes ICT tools for the purpose. And my experience of the various years as a government teacher has taught me, as a teacher, we have to understand the background from which they come from. Many of them, they are facing poverty, responsibilities, abuses, and the mental issue. And they, some of the kids they come from, many of them they are facing lots of problem. And the result of the lowest self-esteem, rather than the becoming the masters of the black and white era, we need to become the sensitive mentor of the 21st century. Technology. This is the certainly the game changer. When it comes to the modern method of the teaching, the teachers has the variety of tools to make her classes more interactive and interesting. Thanks to internet, students today can access information from any part of the globe. The click the button, and digital media also allow students to collaborate themselves among themselves and discuss concept and outside the classroom also. Recently, during the pandemic, when students are not able to reach school, technology played an essential role in the delivering education. The government school, like ours, means I'm in a government school, and we face lots of problem. And government school like ours, we are have the major handicap teachers. They are not trained for the online education. Students did not have access to modern gadgets, and with the challenges, some valuable learning, teachers geared themselves and reach out the students in all ways possible. We are teachers and learn valuable skill in the limited time, and found ways to teach the students that none of them they are left behind. And modern education system, especially the new education policy, infuse the government of India not only the focus on the formal education, but also stress on the capacity building also. And students, they are the human capital of country. Is it essential to empower them and develop of the economy? In skill based learning, students are groomed to become leader in the chosen field. We are the encourage students to think beyond grade and acquire real life skill by including subject like vocational courses, human resource, and management, hotel management, tourism management can become the effective purpose driving. It empower the students to become the successful in the chosen field. And we are teacher, so we can help the students. We can help in choosing that field. Student, what we can motivate the students, we can convince the students, we can help them in choosing the career what they want to do. We have changed so many things in the 21st century. In this century, technology help us, and beyond technology, the students and teachers they have changed the mentality also. We have so many things to speak on this if there is, but we have the limit of the time. So thank you, Matthew sir. You have given us such a nice topic, and we have so many points to speak on this, but we have bond on the time. So thank you very much, and thank you AI. They have given us such a platform to speak on that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You rightly said that learning is complete and holistic only when a student is able to effectively perform and fulfill his or her responsibilities and duties towards self, school, family, society, and above all, this nation. The goal is to enable every student to be a good citizen and a responsible human being who is well aware of his potential and competencies. With this, I would like to invite our next speaker for the day, Ms. Shanu Sharma. She is TGT History Political Science with 15 years of enriching experience teaching middle and senior grade students. She is an enthusiastic learner and an innovative teacher. She is activity coordinator for middle school CBSE and associate round square for the entire CBSE 6 to 12 grade at Genesis Global School, Noida. We welcome you, ma'am, on the platform today to share your ideas on 21st century learning skills. Welcome, Shanu, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. At first, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Matthew, sir, for inviting me for this panel discussion, and for all the esteemed panelists who have already explained mostly about the 21st century skills in learners. When I was thinking about the topic, one thing occurred to my mind that how the scenario is changed so rapidly that we who born in 20th century are discussing about the skills required in 21st century. How did
I think there is a power cut or some internet issue at ma'am's place.
That's little
So,
unfortunate. So
yeah,
she started on a very good note, but this happens to the
yeah, yeah.
most of
I
people.
think the
So
weather is
yeah, I think
also
Suruchi ma'am is there.
windy and
So
rainy.
yeah,
So maybe there are
yeah,
some issues. So we can move on
yes,
to the
we'll,
next
yeah,
speaker,
sure,
and we will wait to ma'am for
yeah.
joining and speaking in the next slot. So with this, I would like to extend our heartiest welcome to our next speaker, Ms. Suruchi Sharma. She is TGT Chemistry at DPS Gurgaon with more than 15 years of enriching experience. She is also a Microsoft certified educator and passionate about teaching and motivating students. I would like to invite ma'am to the forum to share her insights about 21st century learning skills.
Thank you, Sumedha ma'am. I'm really honored and privileged to be a part of this discussion. Thank you so much, Matthew sir. He's always very motivating towards this. Thank you. Before I start with the 21st learning, I would like to break this into 21st century. 21st century, when we are talking about, it's, as you would know, 21st century is entirely different when we are talking about this, and learning is something which is genuine only when it is active. All genuine learning is always active and not passive. So here we need to talk about the active learners we have in the 21st century. We need to know the learners we are catering towards. Our learners are much ahead of us in every way. They are digitally sound, they are thinking beyond textbooks, they are questioning, and some of the questions you would agree that we might not have thought of. Such questions come to us during the classes. So we are catering to such multiple intelligences, so our teaching methodologies should be according to that only. We cannot have, as Rashmi ma'am already said, Sangeeta ma'am also said the same thing, that one size fit for all, that won't sound us, that won't be good enough for to cater their needs. Because a person whom I'm teaching in the method of a story, but would like to have it in the form of PPT maybe. So the multiple intelligences needs to be catered to. Moreover, in the student centered system, we cannot just be instructors or information providers, we need to be their facilitators. Nowadays, you would agree with me that they are not deprived of knowledge in any way thanks to Google, social media, and so many educational tools available. So, we need to provide them with the right guidance and the motivation, which at times they are missing on. A teacher needs to be a motivator, and moreover she needs to be approachable in every way. A student should confide in you, should be able to share his or her problem with you. And on this context, I would like to share one of my experiences, that we just started with the new session, and after 2 years of COVID, many of the students are facing problems related to social anxiety. They are not able to make up friends. So, until and unless a student is very comfortable in your class, it would be very difficult for you to arrange any kind of collaborative activities in the class. So, before you plan with the 4 C's, with the competencies, you need to know them. You need to know their mindset after these 2 years. So, they should know that you are approachable enough to help them in all the possible ways. So on this note, I would also like to agree, I also like to add on to this, that even in the classroom, when you are uh, on a content, on starting a content, you should provide them ample space to make mistakes in their process to learn. They themselves need to come up with the experiences and try to understand the topic by experiential learning, and not just by the lecture method that we used to have in our time. We need to arrange for enough space for open discussions and collaborative activities to develop their communication skills as well. Because to adapt is to move ahead. And we, as an Indian, I would say we are having the highest population towards the youngsters. And to move towards a developed country, we need to cater to their needs in all the possible ways. We need to try to develop the student holistically. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really a wonderful thoughts and ideas you have poured in on the topic 21st century learning design. We are really glad that you could make out and you can share some insights with our audience today. And the next two speakers that we have, for some reasons, they are not able to join us, maybe due to internet issues. And today,
Yeah,
weather is so lovely. On
so
positive note, it is lovely, but on the negative side, our panelists are not able to join because of the weather conditions. So,
yeah,
Matthew,
so
sir,
that's yeah. So we'll try to accommodate them as much as possible. So I'll be taking up some questions from the chat. We'll try to wait for about 5 minutes and see if two of our speakers are going to join us. Unfortunately, because of technical issues, this happens. But at the same time, first of all, great congratulations from my side to all the speakers. You did a fantastic job. It was amazing. And Sumedha ma'am, you were amazing. The way you
Yes, sir. I
handled
would
and
like to
summarized
thank
the
you,
whole thing.
Sumedha ma'am. You are amazing,
thank you, sir.
ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
very,
Thank you
very,
so
very
much.
professionally handled,
You
very
you
beautifully
introduced
summarized.
us in a very great way. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you so
and
much, ma'am.
your the way you handled it professionally, it shows that you have a lot of experience in doing such things very rightly, and you are conducting so many programs. So this is part of the whole panel discussion. You have taken up leadership role. So first of all, big thanks to the moderator for the day, Sumedha ma'am, and to all the speakers who brought in different aspects. So one of the a lot of people who have joined from the audience, very especially Sudeepa ma'am and Monica ma'am, who always joins us for all these panel discussions. They were part of the mentorship program, and they make sure that they are here to encourage us. So if you see the comments that were coming in, basically from Monica ma'am and Sudeepa ma'am, they were previous mentorship participants, but they always make sure that they are here to encourage every panelist here. So there are different ways in which we can take part. It's not that we have to come on screen and speak. It is through interaction, through as an audience, by encouraging others. You play small little portions, and you never know how you encourage others. So it is a really good thing that uh, uh, people like Monica ma'am, Sudeepa ma'am, there were so many others who joined, your friends. But this is one aspect that I want to really bring out of our AIF members, that they are all very cooperative and they want people to share their ideas and their support. It's not easy to give time for others. Believe me, time is the greatest gift that you can give to another person. It's not money or it's not about any gift. It's time. Time is the most precious gift that you can give. So thank you once again to all our audiences who came and who shared their expertise. So I think we have Shanu ma'am back. So we'll go back to her and we'll carry on the discussion further later. So you can introduce Shanu. Yeah.
My
Yeah. Hello, Shanu
apologies.
ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. I'm so sorry for the network
No,
connection.
ma'am, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think due to the bad weather conditions, you
It's
got
kind of
a electricity
nostalgia,
cut.
ma'am. During the
Yeah.
online mode, we were all having this kind of, and as our students were talking to each other, I could just meet you and you were all talking.
Okay. But thank you for the privilege to introduce for the second time. It is my privilege also. So I would like to invite you again, Shanu ma'am. She is TGT History, Political Science, having 15 years of experience teaching middle and senior grade students. She is an enthusiastic learner and an innovative teacher. She is an active coordinator of middle school CBSE and associate round square for the entire CBSE 6 to 12 grade at Genesis Global School, Noida. We welcome you, ma'am, on the forum to share your thoughts on 21st century learning design.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening, everyone, once again. At first, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Matthew, sir, again to accommodate my network issues, and for inviting me for this panel discussion, and for all the esteemed panelists who have already have explained like mostly about the 21st century skills in learner. So, as I already shared that when I was thinking about this topic, one thing occurred to my mind that how the scenario is rapidly changing and rapidly changed. That like we who born in 20th century, now we are discussing about the 21st century skills. So, how did we reach to this point? We can thank to our own learners and a bit to Corona time too, which actually gave us time and focus to adapt and develop the new skills during the online mode. We just saw the glitch which I had. I hope like all can agree on this. So in our generation, we were told that IQ or intelligence quotient of a learner is very important and is the key to success. So, IQ refers to the cognitive skill already present in a person by birth or can also be like developed through learning experiences. But now in 21st century, what if we flip the initials I and Q? So it becomes now Q, I, or we can also call it key. Sometimes it is also pronounced as chi or the powerful internal force of life. Now, in 21st century, rather than only focusing on IQ, we also focus on QI or key or chi. You go to crossword or any bookstore or online app store, they are flooded with the content on mindfulness or on the most important 21st century skill, emotional intelligence, right? EI. So today I would like to drag your attention towards my understanding of 21st century skills. I divide them into two segments. First is me, and the second is we. So, when I say me, where learners learn how to understand their own emotions, and we can call them executive function skills. These skills help a learner to execute any task in life, like self awareness, self control, self motivation, focus, and many more. In another words, me skills help learners about their own actions and thoughts and how to portray them in front of the entire world. So, good self management, physically and mentally, is essential skill to develop in 21st century learners. Then comes the V skills or the people skills or the relationship skills. So, communication, teamwork, active listening, collaboration, perspective taking are another important skills. So, these me and we skills are required to be developed in all the learners in 21st century. Now the question arises that how to develop these skills, or as educators, what are we doing to enhance these 21st century skills? My dear fellow educators and our lovely audience, we are the blessed souls as we directly work with the 21st century learners. We handle their inquisitive minds and channelize their energies in positive direction. Our role is the most important role, of course, after the mother's role. So, usually from early years of schooling, learners develop the socio emotional skills a bit through co curricular activities, I must say. In middle years, we need to focus on more on like project based learning or experiential learning. This is the time when they are learning to collaborate with each other, creating their own opinions, and have thousands of queries in their minds, but hesitate to ask. So if we can provide them like a democratic environment where they can ask questions without any fear, where they can be posed with questions to enhance their cognitive and critical thinking skills or IQ. So, along with the suitable environment for their EQ development, we are to work on this part more now in 21st century. See, our generation and the previous one struggle in two important fields. We were not taught how to handle our emotions and especially the failures. We were not having any students with special need or specially abled around, right? We didn't have that inclusiveness, but our young learners are more inclusive than us. The other skill which I think is very important is will skill. So, what is this will skill? This is actually the motivation to finish the task willingly. You must agree on this that after again going to offline mode, when the students came to our schools, the most important ingredient which was missing in our classes was that students were not willingly doing any task, because after 2 years of corona, like they were keeping at home, they were not ready to take it like willingly. So this brings willingly this working this task and finishing the task on time. This brings the creative skills and the productivity. When they work in teams, which is so essential in future jobs, they will need their social emotional skills to perform better. So when in a job interview, anyone is asked, where did you fail in life and how did you combat that? Believe me, most of us struggle to talk about that. So let's make our 21st century learners able to face these kind of questions in life, allow them to question about anything, to question about the old institutions of society, or to be rational about our old faiths. Allow them to make the connections. If I teach in history about Nazi propaganda, and if my students can connect it with today's politic tactics, then as an educator, I'm done, right? They have better digital skills to learn how the world around them works. So let's help them to rise and shine as future citizens, more inclusive and more adaptive than us. That's all from my side, ma'am. Thank you, All India Educators Forum, for this platform and our audience for patiently listening. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shanu ma'am. That was really enlightening. And you have rightly mentioned that development of life skills such as critical thinking, interpersonal communication, decision making, coping, and self management are very critical for dealing with the demands and challenges of everyday life. And in the end, I would like to say that as we look ahead into 21st century, leaders are those who empower others. So to conclude today's discussion, I would like to reiterate the 21st century skills concept is motivated by the belief that teaching students the most relevant, useful, in demand, and universally applicable skills should be prioritized in today's schools, and by the related belief that many schools may not be able to sufficiently prioritize such skills or effectively teach them to our students. But as teachers, it is our foremost responsibility to take the lead and to take the baton in our hands and make our 21st century learners ready to face the future world. And in the end, I would also like to thank Mr. Matthew for his unparalleled support and relentless guidance at each step to make this event possible. And as it is rightly said, that before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But once you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And Matthew, sir, is a real life example of this quote because he has enlightened each one of us with the 21st century skills as teachers and make us future ready to be transform these skills to our students. So thank you, Matthew, sir, and all the presenters, all the audience for joining us and listening to our thoughts and expressions on the topic. Over to you, Matthew, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sumedha ma'am, for handling the whole program so well. And congratulations to all the panelists who spoke so well from their heart. And I'm sure that this is just going to be the beginning for many, and you are going to share your experiences with others. So, as Sumedha ma'am very rightly put, our real power lies in empowering others. uh, we need to share our resources, we need to share our skills with others. The more you share, the more you get. That has been my personal experiences, and it has been an amazing journey in the past years to get associated with so many educators. And the best part was many of you voluntarily came up and have done so many things for All India Educators Forum. And I'm so happy that we have more mentors now joining our global resource team. We already have about 250, 300 people doing wonderful work in the pandemic, especially when uh, teachers required technical help and required expertise in different areas. You all came forward. And now I'm glad that every year we are adding on to that resource pool so that we can help more and more people. So, on that note, a big thanks to all of you. And I am sure that in the coming months, you will all get together, start racking your brains, and start getting actively involved in more and more programs where you can share your expertise and knowledge with others. And once again, thanks to all the our audiences who have constantly encouraged us from the beginning to the end. As I said, the greatest gift that you can give to us is your time, and many of you have given that. And so, once again, thanks, and it's good night from
Thank you, sir. Good
All
night.
India Educators Forum, and all the best to all the panelists that they continue to do their good work. So, on that note, I think we'll end this program for today. We are unable to add Deepika ma'am, although she was one of the panelists. So, I'm sure that she'll get an opportunity again with the next mentorship program participants. So, till that time, I'm sure that now we will be hosting some more programs in the coming months. The teachers have been exceptionally busy in the past few months after the school began, because from online to the offline mode, it was not easy at all for the educators with evaluation and invigilation for board exams. So many corrections and the learning loss that happened in the past 2 years. So it's once again a big thank you from all of us here, and keep encouraging each other and keep sharing your expertise. Thank you and good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank